Welcome one, welcome all to a very special round of Apex Racing 03. We are here for round 5 out of round 8 and potentially the last with a title fight. Sbinalla, who has won every race so far, is looking to be on course to do a full sweep for the series. If he comes first in this race at Hockenheim, then he is confirmed the driver's champion. However, he has got some very, very steep competition to try and fight now. As if you look at the driver's standings and go back to, hold on. However, he has some very tough competition to compete with. As if you look back at some of the competitors, and more particularly look at the pace through the practice sessions, there have been 2 names that have been looking faster than ever. Those being... wait, what's going on with my cameras? What the hell? Hang on. Right there. Ah, yes, there we go. Because if you look at... That was a brilliant time to come in, as a man is off the track. Cool. But either way, as I was trying to say, if you looked at the practice sessions, there are 2 drivers right now that seem particularly unstoppable. Those being System Failure, who hasn't been anywhere close to Sbinalla throughout the season, but Hockenheim may just be his track, and the wet weather is out, and an entirely new face who's signed for the currently struggling Ferrari team, Mushy Cookie 9. This driver, while seeming unassuming at first glance, has been getting a lot of glares at each other from everyone as he absolutely blitzed the entire field during the practice sessions. And now, during qualifying, it's time that he showed everyone exactly what he can do. The first to set a time is System Failure for the Minardi team, who sets a particularly solid 106.8. As like I mentioned before, this is in the midst of some very heavy rain. Sbinalla, however, one-ups them by going almost half a second quicker. But how fast is Mushy Cookie? Mushy Cookie on their first lap, and it wasn't even a contest! Over a second faster than System Failure to put Ferrari on provisional pole at the beginning of this session. And everyone stands back with bated breath, wondering if this is going to be the end of the 8 out of 8 dream for Sbinalla. Because this right here may just be the little piece of competition that we've been looking for. It seems a little bit too late to put on a title fight, but Mushy Cookie is going to make it as loud and as flashy as possible for the remainder of the season. Can Sbinalla respond to that, however? He's got the fastest second sector, he's got a good first sector, and now, with a very similar time, let's see if Sbinalla can immediately one-up Mushy back. Are they going to bring themselves back on the pole? Not quite. I think there might have been a mistake in the final sector. No, they actually just cut the track limits a little bit on a time that would have ended up beating Mushy Cookie if it counted. So Sbinalla very much not out of the game yet, but he's definitely being challenged by Mushy. And if there's something you can't say about any of Spinalla's races beforehand, it's that he's been being challenged. Because let's be honest, if you've won every single race in a season, that right there really says everything about your skill level. Because that level of consistency doesn't come from absolutely nowhere. Hold on a second. I just pressed the escape key. Is that who I think it is? Okay, I don't know if they're driving at all, but I just saw in the player list Dungeon Fanatics. Before I dwell on that any further, Spinalla's about to finish another lap. Is it any quicker? It's 2 yellows and 1 purple. It's an improvement, but there he is! It's Dungeon Fanatics for the Minardi team, who goes just slightly faster than Sbinalla and only a little bit off provisional pole for his first proper lap. Almost nobody knew that Dungeon Fanatics was gonna be here. Hell, I didn't. I searched for the team listings and he didn't show up. But Dungeon Fanatics is one hell of a driver. He has gone to league after league after league, and his pace has put him up there with the likes of names like Weissy. And if you're being compared to Weissy in terms of overall pace, then you know that you are a legend. So, welcome with open arms, Dungeon Fanatics. You may be able to give Sbinalla a bit of a run for their money, as now there are 3 drivers within a 100th of a second of each other. Dungeon Fanatics and Mushy are about to finish another lap. Who was going to be on top? Dungeon takes provisional pole, but will it last for longer than a few seconds? Mushy looks back. They don't have a response for it. Minardi are on provisional pole once again. I don't believe it. I did not think that there would be this many drivers looking to try and mount a challenge for Sbinalla. This kind of pace could potentially be due to the rain, but I'm not so sure. These guys are so consistent even when it is raining that like, I'm not entirely sure if it switches up the variables that much. Wow. How quickly has that turned around for Sbinalla? Like, we immediately went from expecting a potential Sbinalla sweep, and he's still likely going to be champion, to now having two competitors towards him. One coming from out of absolutely nowhere for a struggling team, and one of them being one of the most recognizable and legendary names in the game's history. Wow! But so now, as we're about halfway through the qualifying session, it's looking like Sbinalla isn't even going to make it to the front row, as both of the 2 new names of Mushy and Dungeon are knocking, for lack of other words, 17 bells of shite out of each other, moments ahead of Sbinalla, who... Yeah, I think I'm going to stop dwelling on that and start looking for the rest of the field. System Failure actually had a particularly solid lap, capturing a 106.1. Very impressive for him. But now, eyes are also going to start on, okay, yeah, there's our reminder that there's no Q2. But now, at this point, eyes are likely going to start turning to the Constructors' Battle, because Ferrari may start to be able to mount a challenge, and Minardi may actually have a chance to take the Constructors' crown if Kimmy77 can't respond to these new competitors. And I feel like everyone's eyes are going to be on that Constructors' battle, considering that the driver's title is pretty far out of reach. Nobody's getting any purple sectors or even green sectors, so it's likely seeming that Dungeon Fanatics is going to keep his pole on debut. But again, anything can happen in AR03, and to quote the muffled walking man, it usually does. Mushy Cookies hasn't been able to find any green sectors or purple sectors. It's seeming like they may not have any response to Dungeon Fanatics, but Dungeon Fanatics sets a purple second sector despite having a mediocre first sector. This could be an even further improvement from the Minardi driver. Is he going to bring his time even further? Yes, he is! It's a 105.8 and nearly a 105.7 when the championship leader hasn't even been able to break out of the 106s. What a rush this is from the debut in Dungeon Fanatics. System Failure is looking to try and start another lap with the same green sectors wide as he had beforehand. As that 106.1, I'm pretty sure he's currently on his best qualifying result so far, and if he's not, someone is definitely going to have to correct me. Looking through the rest of the field, it doesn't look like anyone is on pace to improve their current laps. So it's looking like the grid is going to stay as consistent as it is right now. As flicking through some of the cameras, we have a Jaguar without their front wing. Wow, in a race where before they were able to. That right there is a perfect picture to represent Jaguar in F1 as a whole. because last race, not only did they score their first podium, but the debutant Moto has now left. So Jaguar have been thrown back to the wolves and are looking for any kind of star driver that they could possibly get. Because yes, Moto may not be the most beloved figure, but he's one hell of a driver. So now, there's only 5 minutes left in the quali session, and everyone here are roaring to try and get just one more lap started. Mushy, System, Dungeon, all of them in very similar spots to each other, as Sbinalla isn't even on track. They probably need just a little bit more time to get themselves ready to set up for a lap. But again, I'm not entirely sure. I can't read into these drivers' minds. Looking into the chat as well, I feel like most of them are just sort of flabbergasted that Dungeon's even here. Oh, there's been some movement. I'm pretty sure. Oh my God! That's second on the qualifying grid out of nowhere from Helene. The Benetton driver who's been able to put that car in places where it probably really shouldn't be, but that's not probably going to last for long, as it's a purple sector from Dungeon Fanatics and Mushy Cookies. Dungeon with the slightly better exit, but Mushy Cookies could potentially take it. It's a yellow sector from both of them. Dungeon Fanatics is pretty far upwards, but could Mushy Cookies reclaim the front row after it was taken by Helene? It's seeming like that's going to be the case. Oh my God! It's an incredible final sector, but can Dungeon Fanatics respond to it? No! He dropped the lap at the last possible second, and now, out of nowhere, Mushy Cookies has snatched pole position from Dungeon Fanatics. If Dungeon Fanatics can't respond to this, then he may have lost his pole on debut title to another pole on debut. Oh my word! Hold on, people are asking me to screen share, so I might end up doing that in a little bit, but first, let me keep my camera on this. There are only a couple of drivers that haven't been able to respond with a proper lap time of their own, but wow! That was an incredible lap time from Mushy Cookie. 2 purple sectors and only 1 yellow sector, which I can imagine probably wasn't a yellow sector by much, so wow, how quickly did that turn around for him? But now, because of the surprise pace of Helene, Sbinalla isn't even gonna qualify in the top 3 unless he has a response, and he's seeming to be heading out to do just that. I'm pretty sure that was his... Wait, yeah, I wasn't looking. Oh my God, Dungeon immediately biting back with a 105.5. A purple sector in the middle as well. If Mushy Cookies doesn't have a response to this, then Dungeon has taken back his pole on debut. Yeah, JLHR, let me give you a bit of a news flash. I'm not only British, but I am a patriotic Brit. So that's why you don't want to be friends with me. No, oh no. No, please, don't make this the next case. Never mind, it doesn't matter. So Sbinalla are about to start, presumably, their final fast lap attempt. The current Drivers' Championship leader, who has won every single race so far, and were looking to take every single race in the series, now may not even start in the top 3, and they have one more chance to try and slap themselves on pole position, considering how strong their competition has seen them be. This is like, if I can describe this, this is like jumping from 2015 F1 immediately into 2010 F1. You know, one of them only had one driver to focus on, and now, well, now the entire field is out to gut them. It's on the first sector, Sbinalla cuts it green. It's one of their best for this first sector, and they're gonna need their best if they want to qualify as high as possible. Our championship leader looking to try bring it to the top of the table and become champion in Germany, is certainly putting on a decent lap here. However, it's a lackluster second sector. Are they going to be able to recover this in the final sector? And will Sbinalla be able to improve their position on their final attempt? Everyone waits with bated breath. No, it's not an improvement. Sbinalla remains in 4th place in a shocking qualifying session. Hellenai isn't able to improve their time. System failure. Actually, wait. Oh, wow, the qualifying leaderboard has gotten so large that it actually outgrows my entire screen. That is insane. Mushy Cookie doesn't have enough time to start another lap. Dungeon Fanatics exited out, so their chances are over. Mushy Cookies just barely isn't close enough to start another one, which means the only chance we have now for the unqualifiers switching up their current lap are Hellenai, who got a really sudden and brilliant position of 3rd on the qualifying grid, which still seems like it could go up by just a little bit. But Sbinalla isn't going down without a fight, as immediately after that previous lap, they're starting to set another one, which lead drivers almost never do, but isn't going to amount to anything. No! Sbinalla once again don't improve their lap time and are stuck in 4th place. And Hellenai abandons their lap time, and that right there is going to be a qualifying session they are going to definitely be proud of. Shut up, JLHR! Shut up! So, yeah, that was an extremely telling qualifying session, but now, as system failure isn't done yet. He didn't hear any bell, he's setting one more time, and it's not an improvement. Nice. Just listen to the symphony of those engines. Oh! Oh, I couldn't see the lights! It's lights out and away we go! And Dungeon Fanatics gets a particularly good launch, and so does the Benetton and of Hellenai. These wet conditions causing a bit of a scramble for the order. I think one of the Saubers are shooting up the order as well, but it's Hellenai that actually gets ahead by the first split. It's a bit difficult to tell because of the laggy replays, but Sbinalla is tumbling down the order. He's in 5th place right now, and if this form continues, then he may not even make it into the points, as Hellenai, for the Benetton team, is leading the race, but of course, Dungeon Fanatics, being as infamous of a driver as he is, isn't going to take that sitting down, and has been shooting forward through the rankings, which is extra impressive considering his position. Sbinalla starting to bite back though, as he's been crawling back up the standings the moment he got to 5th. Maybe he heard my comments and got very, very angry. But regardless, it's Hellenai leading after the first lap, or is it? No, Mushy Cookie leads at the beginning of the next lap, becoming the first driver in the league to lead a lap for the Ferrari team. Because remember, Ferrari have been absolutely nowhere before they signed Mushy Cookie. A complete rookie now leading the course on his debut with the legend of Dungeon Master right behind him and the championship leader behind him as well. This is really looking like a 2008 Sebastian Vettel moment. Remember when he took a Toro Rosso and drove away from the field like it was nothing? That, I feel like a lot of people are never going to forget that. But Mushy Cookie is just casually doing it here and making more and more of a gap from the front runners. Yeah, it's seeming like Mushy Cookie is becoming the driver to beat. What? I don't think anyone, when they were waking up, were expecting Ferrari to be the ones leading the race. As we were all just waiting for that Minardi and McLaren dominance to resume. Hold on, I think there's been a mistake. Yeah, Dungeon Fanatics, I think he might have gone wide through a corner. No, never mind. He's actually hit too many track limits, and he's already got a time penalty. So now Dungeon Fanatics, one of the prospects to take the whole race, and starting from pole position, falls from 1st to 8th. As now, he's nowhere to be seen, and Minardi are seriously getting hurt in their championship battle because of it. Hellenai, who is pretty much the lone fighter for the Benetton team right now when it comes to good points, alongside Kawahara, are both punching the air in excitement, as this means more points for the underdog team in the constructors battle. But after the first couple laps, it's been proven. Moshikuki is going to be the driver to beat for today. But now, the current Drivers' Championship leader, Sbinalla, has been climbing his way from the back after those early mistakes, trying to bring himself as close to the Kiwi as he possibly can. But of course, Moshikuki is not going to make it easy. He's already got a 1 second gap into just lap 4. If he can keep this going forward, then this would be a historical win in AR03. Not only as someone has finally found the pace to beat Sbinalla, but it would also be the first win on debut for any driver in a Ferrari. And we're just getting an update now that pit stops will not be mandatory. That's huge for these cars, as the 2003 cars are one of the grippiest cars when it comes to its wet compound. And Moshikuki now has a choice. Does he box or does he not? Because of course, even though the tires don't wear air as much, it may still play into the strategy of the Kiwi if they were to think about it. But of course, because of the iOS still being really good, I'm not so sure. And still, Moshikuki making even more of a gap from Hellenai, who's now challenging. Wait, I think Spinalla's had an issue. Yeah, Sbinalla must have slipped out or something, because now the top 3 are filled by the Minardi of Speed for Rages and the Benetton of Hellenai. Benetton and Minardi are two sworn rivals in this constructors battle, and it's looking like Hellenai is having the result of a lifetime, pulling himself further and further from the championship leader. This may just be pace under the wet weather, but I feel like that'll probably be proven at a later point. But what is being proven right now is that Moshikuki, the new kid on the block, is one hell of a driver when it comes to understanding the wet compound. But now, for the constructors battle between both Minardi and Benetton, Hellenai are knocking piece after piece out of each other. Hold on a second, what's his name again? Yeah, Speed for Rages cuts the corner a little bit, but he's still generally fine in terms of track limits. But now, going a little bit further down, Dungeon Fanatics is looking to hunt down the championship leader of Sbinalla, who made a little bit of a mistake early on and already has a couple of warnings. Dungeon Fanatics has already burned his, so he doesn't have much to lose, as now he's only getting closer and closer to the backside of that McLaren, who is starting to fall further and further back in the constructor standings as we speak. As their secondary driver, Raikkonen77, retired on lap 4. I'm not entirely sure how that could have been caused, but hey, it was something that happened. So yeah, Moshikuki, again, only pulling away further and further. He's looking to try and increase this to a 2-second gap by the start of the next lap. It's clear to me that one of these drivers know what they're doing when the track gets a little bit moist. And now, going over the line, has Moshikuki broken into a 2-second gap? No, he hasn't. He actually loses a little bit of pace to Hellenai as wait, what happened to the Benetton? Hold on, did he end up crashing? Someone inform me on what just happened, because this the Benetton, who was getting very close to scoring some really good Wait, no, he hasn't. Hellenai is still in the hunt. I don't know why, but he's currently the only driver who's in the current field that he was in before, as Benetton knocked Minardi away from the pedestal that they were looking at. And now, both Speed for Rages, who I think got a few too many track limits, and Dungeon Fanatics, are now staring down the championship leader of Sbinalla. If you were to look at this a few days ago, this would have been for the lead of the race, and potentially for the championship as well. as Dungeon is still going to get some decent points for this, and still looks to be on track to becoming champion, but these are going to be some critical points bled for McLaren in the Constructors' Championship, which I feel like is what Sbinalla is trying to capitalize on now. And Sbinalla, yeah, he's starting to slip more and more to Dungeon and Speed for Rages, and it's unclear which one of them are the more consistent, as the track only goes further and further into the I couldn't think of a follow-up for that. If you have a suitable follow-up for me, send it to me in the mail. Okay, having a little flick through the rest of the grid, the Arrows team are actually in the points for the first time now, as I think this is a debut win. AV34 is capitalizing off everyone else's chaos and his own general knowledge, and he's shooting his way up the back markers, looking to try and get Arrows their first proper points. That would be a really nice tale for the orange team to take back home. Rufus and System Failure, who are both also driving for Minardi's, are also making up some of the backmarker spots after System Failure had a particularly good qualifying session. Maybe his consistency just isn't the best when it comes to racing for long distances in the wet. But now, we return to the three-driver-long battle of the two front-running Minardis of Speed for Rages and Dungeon Fanatics and the McLaren of Sbinalla. And Sbinalla has now officially been passed by both of them, only standing in 5th place in the current standings right now, which is not enough for him to secure the championship. Not by a long shot. Hell, at this rate, I feel like if Sbinalla falls a little bit too far back, he could potentially not even win the driver's title. But Mushy has to play these remaining races perfect if that were to happen. Sbinalla is still a shoo-in to win the driver's title. As remember, all eyes are currently on the Constructors' battle now. And I feel like the story of the day is definitely going to be how Ferrari have been plunged out of the depths from where they were before. As initially, they only had 5 points on the board. And if you remember last race, one of the drivers was celebrating making it all that way through in Azerbaijan with a missing front wing. So to go from multiple points with no front wing to gapping the field by a huge margin, wow, Mushy Cookie really is making quite the name for himself. We may have just seen the birth of a legend here. And it was with Ferrari, well once again. YC was always insistent on going with Ferrari, and he's another person which I feel like we're never gonna forget the name of. So could this be the YC for the mix-up cars? Again, we'll just have to wait and see, as we're starting to near the halfway point for the race, and Sbinalla, I feel like, is really starting to fall behind on both of the Minardis now. These are going to be huge points for the huge points for the Minardi team, who before, again, like I said, if you were to do this race about a week ago or so, this would all be for the lead if it weren't for the new face of Mushy Cookie. But again, Dungeon Fanatics looking to be in a podium spot after making a really large mistake early on. System Failure is slowly starting to climb his way up the field. It's a really solid result for Sauber, who are currently in the Sauber dimension in 6th place. Wow. I don't believe it. Yeah, I'm gonna need to take a moment to just step back and get my voice back for a little bit, which is partly because there aren't any secondary commentators, but also because I'm trying to process everything that's happening. But hey, there were huge gaps in the commentary in the 2000s, so it's fitting. on a second, I think that was a mistake from Sbinalla. No, there isn't. I just see shit. Hold on, that gap between Hellenai and Mushy Cookie is now expanded to 3 full seconds. And Mushy Cookie hasn't seemed to be piling on any track limits, so yeah, Mushy Cookie's lead only gets more and more dominant as Hellenai actually cuts a little bit of a track limit there. He's not gonna get a speed penalty for it right now, but it's bringing him further and further back in the order. Hold on a second, I think there may have been a mistake from Mushy Cookie, as that first sector of his really wasn't one of his more solid. And now, after that, Hellenai, after cutting a track limit in the previous lap, is now starting to slowly crawl his way back up to Mushy Cookie, but is it going to be at a pace fast enough to jump for the lead? I'm not sure. I think the lead may be out of the question, considering we're now approaching the halfway mark of the race. And a perfect 10-second gap from the leader to Speed for Ages as well, who if you remember, has been a consistent fighter for the podium, but now, after a major mistake, he's starting to lose ground to Sbinalla, the championship leader. So now, the podium is looking like Mushy Cookie, still leading, and then Hellenai, and then Dungeon. But I think Hellenai might have gone a little bit wide there, as now, Dungeon Fanatics, after slipping out beforehand, is now starting to catch up to him, and rather crucially, is starting to lap quicker than Mushy Cookie. Could this be a comeback for Dungeon Fanatics? Could he snatch the winning dream from Mushy Cookie? If that were to happen, that would be one of the most incredible comebacks, not just in AR21 history, but in league racing history in general. So no matter what way you slice it, no matter who wins this race, it has currently proven to be one hell of a belter. The chat are kind of losing it over the idea of blue flags, but hey, it's funny. Hold on, Dungeon Fanatics is getting a better exit than Hellenai. If they can do something good for the hairpin, this may just be for the position as Hellenai are going as wide as possible without cutting any track limits, or at least what the game considers a track limit. And it's an incredible exit from Dungeon Fanatics, who are now carrying more speed than Hellenai, and this may just be for second place if Dungeon Fanatics can find the line he's looking for. Wait! I think there may have been a mistake from Mushy Cookie! Yeah, Mushy Cookie cut one too many track limits, and now he's within the field of everyone else! The battle truly is on, as now it's Hellenai who's leading the race, at least for a split second, and Mushy Cookie, now that he's within a vulnerable position after leading for so long, he was only one track limit away. There's a crash from a Jaguar beforehand, and now the battle is truly on. Could Hellenai snatch it for the Benetton team? Could Dungeon Fanatics make one of the best comebacks in league racing history? Or will Mushy Cookie get back into a lead, as he's already proven to do so? I'm not sure, as everyone's in striking distance. Dungeon Fanatics makes the move on Hellenai, and now Minardi are in second place ahead of their rivals Benetton. Dungeon finds a really good line, but so does Mushy Cookie. Hellenai starts slipping back a little bit, and Hellenai cuts one too many track limits. Hellenai is now out of the winning picture, as the championship leader Sbinalla is looking to try and take the position from him, and now it's a right toss-up between Dungeon and Mushy for the lead of the race. Remember, Dungeon made a major mistake earlier, and he's slowly been bringing himself closer and closer to the lead of the race. Is he going to be able to get ahead of Mushy Cookie? Is this going to be a Villeneuve debut situation? I'm not entirely sure. Will Mushy be able to keep the lead of his race, Or will we see it? We'll see a shift of lead to Dungeon Fanatics. 2 rookies gapping the entire field by 4 full seconds on the fan favorite track for this game in a huge spot of wet weather. This right here, you know what, I'm just gonna say the meme. This is absolute cinema. I can't even argue with that. Mushy Cookie, the Kiwi with the Tifosi, still very much keeping the lead ahead of Dungeon, but after those Mr. 18 made earlier, his pace may potentially start to slip a little bit. As Dungeon Fanatics goes faster in the first sector, Mushy goes faster in the second, and both of them are taking piece after piece after piece of each other. Mushy has a bit of a messy exit. This could be Dungeon Fanatics' chance to make a play, as they're now approaching the back marker of the Renault as well. It's near equal across the line, but Mushy Cookie still holds on to the lead. Both drivers being as careful as possible to not cut any track limits. Dungeon coming closer and closer to the new kid on the block. As even though both of them are rookies in this series, Mushy Cookie is barely being seen in any other leagues, while Dungeon is one of the most recognizable names out of all of them. The rookie and the legend. Who is going to be the one to take off into the distance? This really is, dare I say it, a Hamilton and Alonso situation. And right now, it's seeming like the Alonso of these two is starting to take off, as Dungeon Fanatics finds a little bit of a line and is now leading the race after Mushy Cookie slipped behind after hitting too many track limits. Will the Tifosi be able to bring this back? Of course, the Mushy Cookie trying everything he can to practice his focus under pressure, as he is going to absolutely need it if he wants to challenge Dungeon in the future. And now, there's only 10 laps left, as this battle has only just begun. Mushy Cookie, however, hits another track limit, so he's going to be very careful with the way he enters his next couple corners, or he may end up falling even further through the SHUT UP Techno Juice! So he may end up falling behind even further from the order. I'm not entirely sure. I think Dungeon might have had a bit of a messy exit there. I'm not sure. He's still lapping quicker than Mushy Cookie, and is starting to make a gap. The Irishman could be the first driver outside of Sbinalla to win a race in AR03. And can someone confirm to me whether there's been a wet race in this series or not? Have there been any wet races beforehand? Someone tell me in the chat, because if this is the first... Okay, here's my alternative app for you. If you have an AMD... I don't know what part it is, but if you have a computer that runs off AMD software, then you should have AMD software Adrenaline Edition installed. That genuinely has a really good built-in recorder, and that's what I'm using for this. Oh, last race was the only dry race of the season. That's one way to put it. But yeah, Dungeon is now starting to make a gap on Mushy Cookie, but this battle is still far from over, despite Dungeon finding more pace from Mushy, because it only takes one mistake from the two of them to give the other an edge. Dungeon takes that curve absolutely perfectly. None of them are cutting any track limits. It's yellow sectors for everyone in the top 10 so far. Look at that! But now, I feel like Dungeon may have found the pace that he absolutely needs. Mushy Cookie slips out a tiny bit, and now there's a 1 second gap from Mushy Cookie to Dungeon Fanatics. But once again, like I said, this battle is far from over. Anything can happen, as Dungeon Fanatics also cuts a track limit similar to Mushy Cookie. And if there's one thing I've learned from public races, it only takes one penalty to change the dynamic of a race entirely. I mean, on Christmas Eve, I'll have to share the footage of it a little bit later, but because someone brought it a little bit too far on the track limits on the last lap when they just had to steady themselves, I have won a race in the Formula B car in a public lobby. Mushy Cookie, brings it very, very close to hunting a track limit, but he just about doesn't. They're really going to have to iron out their mistakes if they want to be battling each other. Mushy's looking more consistent in the second sector. Does he save on any time compared to Dungeon? I'm not so sure. He does, but it's only a little bit. Dungeon is looking to be faster in pace, but this is likely going to come down to who is going to crack under the pressure. And Dungeon, and if I know anything from the races I've done, leading does not alleviate you of all the pressure, as Mush takes an absolute chunk out of the... Someone correct me, but I think I just saw Ayrton Senna. A rogue Ayrton Senna driving about on the track. Hold on. Wait, no! No, Mushy immediately loses that advantage by dropping 1 second after he gained half a second. That may have been an issue with the timekeeping, but I'm not too sure. Dungeon is now slowly starting to get into a position where even with a penalty, he would win the race. And it's all starting to fall apart for the rookie and the boy with the dream, Mushy Cookie. But like I said, this race is far from over. We were expecting Sbinalla to clinch the driver's title at this point, but now that's starting to look more and more unlikely with every lap passing by. So if I'm learning anything from this, nothing is over until the final lap. Yep, there is a wild Ayrton on the track. Hello, Ayrton. How are you doing? How's the country? Dungeon again, starting to slip further and further ahead, as if we cut back a little bit, Sbinalla is now having a proper fight with Helena, but he is just pulling away further and further and further, making minced meat of the championship leader. If this doesn't say anything about the shift of the drivers' mentalities, I don't know what does, as Sbinalla cuts the fattest track limit I think I've ever seen, just like that one deleted seed from Wallace and Gromit cursing the wear of it. If you know, you know. And now, after a bit of a mistake from Mushy Cookie, he is now 2 seconds behind Dungeon Fanatics, and I feel like at this point, both of them are just trying everything they can to make sure they don't cut a track limit accidentally. Dungeon rumbles a little bit over one of the sausage curbs, but he keeps his car steady. That may have lost him a little bit of time. Yes, it did! It may look like Dungeon is drifting away to an unreachable position, but this is still only a 2-second gap. What the hell's happening in the chat? The chat are losing it over Sbinalla getting like one position, but I don't think the driver's title gets decided unless someone wins. Oh look, there's the Wild Ayrton again. And that right there... No, there wasn't a track... Wait, was there? The replay's making this very difficult to tell. No, there wasn't. Can someone tell me in chat if Sbinalla wins the title with a podium? I'm actually not sure. I thought it was just if he wins. Okay, Dungeon cuts another track limit, but Mushy Cookie had a really bad second sector there. So this battle may just be over, and Dungeon Fanatics, the Irishman for Minardi, may just be the one who stands on top of all of them, as Sbinalla loses the position he just got to Helena after cutting the track way too wide. And now, Mushy Cookie is slipping further and further down the order, and this is looking like Dungeon Fanatics' race for the win. He now has a 5-second gap on Mushy Cookie, and it has been an incredible showcase of skill from him. From pole to a mistake to a climb all the way back to where he came from. I feel like even without the track limits, he would still be leading this race. But of course, it still isn't over yet, as with the tires only getting more and more worn, he has to actually bring it all the way to the end. And considering these cars, that's easier said than done, as now we may get to the point where a few slips may end up coming from the lower end drivers, but who knows? That may end up seeping into the faster ones. As now, the current battle is looking like a total duel with Sbinalla and Hellenai. I think Sbinalla only wins the title if he wins the race. Can someone confirm that to me? At what point does Sbinalla win the title? Because if his title is in fighting Hellenai, then we are watching the end of the title fight as we know it right here. Especially if Sbinalla can make it to the end. Because Sbinalla and Hellenai are dead even right now. I'm not sure. Okay, let me have a look into the chat here. Can someone confirm this to me? Okay, so actually Sbinalla wins if he's 2 points ahead of System Failure, which is currently tied. So, oh wait, no! Sbinalla will be world champion if System Failure keeps falling further and further back in the order. So this may be the end of the title fight right here, and Sbinalla wants to try and end it off with a podium. And he's currently battling the Benetton of Hellenai to be able to have that honor. And of course, to secure more crucial constructors points for the battle with McLaren. And Ashikoki's cuts yet another track limit as his hope of a win on debut starts to fall further and further back to the Irishman who brought that point home. But honestly, it has been an incredible showcase from Moshikoki, who's making one of his first proper league races and is already battling with one of the legends of the scene. Honestly, if he keeps this up, then... Hold on a second. I think there was a mistake from Hellenai. Yeah, Hellenai cuts a track limit. Sbinalla is now in the podiums. He is going to finish this race as world champion if System Failure doesn't have any way to respond. As now, for the race win, Dungeon Fanatics just has to finish one more lap, and he has brought himself to a race win on debut with a 1-2 for the rookie drivers and a first-time podium for the Ferrari team. Wow, how quickly has this race shaken up? We all thought that it would be another front-running washout from the McLaren of Sbinalla, but we have really seen what a true shake-up to the grid can mean for the field. Hold on, I think that might have been a mistake from Dungeon Fanatics. I'm not actually sure. But if there is a mistake from here, that would mean that Mushy Cookies might be able to jump for a position. I'm not entirely sure if that's the case, but it's seeming like it. Okay, and now enough with the battling, because I have two people to congratulate as they inevitably make it to the line. But right now, all eyes go on the debutant for the Minardi team. He's been to pretty much every league you can shake a stick at. I'm not entirely sure if he's been a champion before, but he has proven himself as one hell of a force to be reckoned with. The Sbinalla win streak has been broken, and he's done it! Dungeon Fanatics wins the German Grand Prix for the Minardi team. Moshi Cookie comes in second place to make it a rookie 1-2, and crucially on the podium, and as a title winner with 3 races to go, Sbinalla wins the first season of AR03. He walks home as a champion for the McLaren team. Oh my word, this has been one hell of a championship deciding race from okay, I'm stuttering too much, so I'm probably gonna, like, ruin the pace of the, like, final speech if I speak. But now, Dungeon and Sbinalla driving there next to each other. Actually, no. Sbinalla is actually in so much delight that he's broken off his front wing and started doing donuts over one of the corners, as I'm pretty sure that's Spinalla's first league title at all. And he did it in the most dominant fashion possible. Granted, he did lose the potential moniker of winning every single race in a row, but I feel like after how much of a roller coaster this race has been, with the incredible debut of Mushy Cookie and the insane comeback of Dungeon Fanatics, which I think that is the best comeback of any league race, I feel like we've all seen the light. And so, even though this Drivers' Championship may have concluded with Sbinalla winning the race, the Constructors' battle is far from over. So join us next week when we bring ourselves to the scorching hot desert of Mexico. But for me, this has been Rainbow Reverb, and I will see you all next week.